AI VFX cleanup. But is it worth it? In this video, we will dive deep into the process of removing a person from the shot while maintaining all the information from the foreground and animating the people walking behind him. At the end, we will discuss if the AI workflow is really worth it over the more traditional compositing and cleanup pipelines. Spoiler alert! So let's have a serious conversation for a second. With AI, it's actually more work.
No data centers have been used in the making of this video.
Hello everybody. Today I would like to show you a little bit more like AI workflows in cinema. Let's look at this following shot. It's from the movie KOTTI Express. The actress here is Yun Huang. The DOP is Fung, and I'm the director. This is why I can show you this shot, because I have the rights to use it. And we shot this on the Alexa Mini at 4K 24 FPS. And everything I'm going to show you today is done on my local workstation with the RTX 5090, which has 32 GB of VRAM. The CPU is AMD Ryzen 9 9950X, and I also have 128 GB of RAM. Okay, so it's quite a short shot. It's only a few frames. It's like a little bit more than 1 second. And as you can see, there is a little bit of camera movement. The main actress here, Yun, she's the most important thing in the scene. And what's also very important is the object in her hands. So this little toy, so it has two parts, this little disc and the flashlight here. And the flashlight is really important for the plot of the film because it's going to be a plot device later. So what we want to get rid of course, is the man behind her, because he's looking directly at her and directly at the camera at times. So this is a very classical cleanup that we need to do a lot in movies, that there is somebody like random on the street or maybe a crew member that got into the shot and we need to remove them. This one in particular is very challenging because the object she holds is right in front of the guy. So we need to keep everything there. We need the mask to be very, very precise. And also there are people walking behind the man. It's not the most important thing, to be honest with you. Like when we made this movie a few years ago and I had to do a manual cleanup, I removed the people. It was a stationary one. So let me show you how it looks. This is the manual cleanup I did a few years ago. And as you can see, I just remove all the people behind her and it's like a static shot now. So what I did is very easy. I just made like a rotoscope to make the mask. And then I frame hold. I took it, I think, from like later in the scene or some other shot. I found something that matched good to that. I frame hold that. I did tracking and everything. So that's a very rudimentary cleanup that you are expected to do a lot in production. And what I want to try to do in the shot right now is actually to try to use ComfyUI to see if it helps me somehow. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be helpful or not. So in this video at the end, I want to ask also the question if did it save me time? Was it worth it? Is the result is something I'm happy with, or maybe just a little bit redundant to do it with AI? Because recently a lot of clients of mine kind of say, you just do it with AI. You know, this cleanup, just do some AI stuff and clean it up. And I'm looking at them, or I'm thinking to myself, okay, but why? You know, does it really save time? Does it really make my life better? Does it really make the result or the movie looks a little bit better later? It's kind of like AI is like this term that people throw right now. Okay, just do it with AI, you know? Yeah, it feels sometimes like maybe people forgot how to use other words to describe what they want to do in the shot. They just say, do AI. Okay, let's jump to ComfyUI. I want to show you a workflow that I was working on. Okay, so this workflow in ComfyUI is based on another workflow that I got from the YouTuber CTRL_FX from the video called ComfyUI plus 1 vase to video equal next level paint out. I featured this before in a previous video that I made. I decided to clean up the workflow a little bit to make it more readable. So if you get the workflow from the original video of his, it will look very different. I also added a few stuff. And I will also make this version of the workflow available in the description below, so you can get it. I think now it's much easier to see what's going on in the workflow. And if you want to tweak it a little bit and add something or remove something, it's much more readable right now. Anyway, let's go step by step and see how it works. Okay, so if we zoom from the top, the first one is the project settings, and we have the width and the height and the number of frames. I wouldn't change the width and height because this workflow and the models, they work ideally with this resolution, so don't touch it. Or you can touch it and experiment and see if it works for you. And the number of frames from that shot is 36. I loaded the shot here. So as you can see in that shot, I didn't do a conversion lot from the log to Rec 709 or sRGB. I decided I want to keep it with the log profile just to see what will come out of it, just as an experiment. Okay, here we just get the FPS, which is 24, but just to be on the safe side, that's an automated one. And here you have fast group bypass in case you want to do that, but honestly, I wouldn't touch that. The next one down here is the model loader. I wouldn't touch any of this. Of course, if you have missing models, you need to download them. I wouldn't get into how to get the models and everything. I assume you already know the basic of ComfyUI. The next one is like to make a mask reference. In the original workflow, I added this process here where we can try to make our own mask. So let's try to do it. So here I loaded the first frame with the log profile, and I'm just going to open it in the mask editor. So let's very quickly make a mask. Okay, this is the rough mask. Let's do a save and clear that, and you can see the mask here. Here we have a prompt. So I wrote the simple prompt: a woman standing in a market looking closely at a red flashlight. And the negative prompt is a man holding a watermelon and a paper bag, because this is what we want to remove. This is what we put in the mask. And let's just run this one. All right, so that's supposed to be a clean plate. And on first sight, it looks okay. But when you look closely, here where the man used to be, things start to break. So I don't like the sign, and also her body kind of broken up a little bit, and the most important object, this flashlight, is also kind of disappearing. Okay, but let's try again. Let's try with a different seed. So if we go back to the case sampler here, we can just change the seeds. And I'm going to run it a few times, and let's see what we get. Okay, that looks a little bit better here. But yeah, it's cutting the subway sign again. Of course, because it doesn't have the information, it doesn't know what to put there. Again. Okay, it did something here with the subway sign, but still, it doesn't look good. Her shoulder is a little bit more constructed, but still we don't have the flashlight. Let's try one last time, because I'm about to give up on this. Okay, that's interesting. There are more people behind her. The shoulder is even better. There are some potatoes here. I like the potatoes. But the sign here of the U-Bahn doesn't exist because it doesn't have the information. So let me show you again how it looks when I did it manually, okay? Just the first frame for like a clean plate reference, okay? So let's go back to DaVinci. You see, I don't know if any of you have been to Berlin, but the subway here is called an U-Bahn, and we have this U and this very typical green signs that is very important because that's also the name of the film, KOTTI Express. That's the name of the station. And none of the AI trials could figure out that this is what's supposed to be there because they don't have the information. The AI cannot know what's supposed to be there. So it's always better like to take a different frame to do a hold and to do a rotoscope and tracking. So you get the real information that's supposed to be there. So I decided I'm going to just use that, you know, what I did like a few years ago. So I uploaded the first frame here that I showed you in DaVinci, and I plugged it in. So this is something new that I added in the workflow, the switch here. So when it's on true, it picks up the manual image that I did. And then it set it up here as a reference. So already AI is losing 1 point because here we had to use the manual work. But it's only the start of the workflow, so let's continue. Okay, the next step is to write a prompt, and I decided to write something simple, like a sharp video of a woman standing in a market. So the idea in the next step is to try to make an automated mask around the man that we want to remove later. What we have here are like green and red points, and we are going to add more of them, and the green ones are going to be on the areas that we want to replace or to clean up, and the red points are the places we want to keep. Let's go with this. Here we have Florence to run that is supposed to make an automated mask out of it. And also here I added a switch because foreshadowing, it's not going to work very well. Okay, let's try it anyway. And also you need to give it a prompt. I wrote a dude holding a watermelon and a paper bag. So let's see what's come out of this one. So we need to play that one and that one. Okay, so here is the automated mask around the man. And if you want to see it a little bit better, here it is, overlaid on top of the footage. And it did an okay job, right? Just an okay job. Take note that here after the mask, we have a node, grow mask with blur. So if I lower this one, let's say to 5, and run it again, we have a little more defined mask, but it starts having errors like this hole here with the watermelon. So Florence is not the most accurate thing in the world. Let's see how much we can push it. Okay, 10 is better, but I don't like the flickering here. But you know what? Okay, let's continue with the workflow with this automated mask around the man. Okay, the next step is to do some control net. So we need to get some motion information out of the scene, and I already ran it. So you can see we get the depth map here, which is also always nice. It's very flickery, but for our purposes today, it's actually okay. It's enough. And there is also pose data here. So we could maybe get some of her hand back, because I'm worried that the mask around the man is also covering her hand, and she's doing like this motion with her hand, and she's holding the toy, which is very important, right? I don't know if it's going to recover it or not, but it's there to try. Okay, here the next section in the workflow is the vase cascade. So what's happening here is just calculating the vase based on the mask. The first control net, the pose, and the second control net, the depth map. And as you can see, the strength here with the cascade is going down by half each time. So we start with 1 here, and then we go to 1.5, and the last one is 1.25 here. So I wouldn't touch this so much. I could maybe play around with different like control nets. So for example, if you don't really need the pose, or it doesn't work for you, maybe change it to Kenny, or if the depth doesn't work, maybe try with Kenny or some other control nets. But the next one is going to be the sampling. I wouldn't touch things here for now. Maybe you can play around with like model sampling later, or change the seeds and stuff like that, but I wouldn't touch the steps in the CFG. And then the preview here. So let's run everything and see if it works.
A few moments later.
Okay, the workflow finished processing, and as you can see, it took 345 seconds. It's not the fastest workflow, but it's also not terrible. Let's look at the result. All right. Wow. I don't even have words to describe it. Like, what is that? Is this something can I start working with this now? It's ridiculous. Wait, don't give up yet. Let's try to go back to the mask here. Let's grow the mask back to 30. Okay. So that's going to be our new mask. So we inflated it a little bit, because maybe what's happening is that it's like the mask is still like the shape of a man, and it's still like constructing something similar to human there. Let's try to run it this way and see what's happening.
Eventually.
Okay, let's look at the result. Oh, it replaced the man with a woman standing in the marketplace. Interesting. Let's go back and look at the prompt, okay? Because what we wrote in the prompt is quite revealing, right? So here I wrote a sharp video of a woman standing in the market. So I think it just recreates the woman. So I decided, let's cheat a little bit. And what I did here, I want to actually make a prompt of the reference image, right? Of this clear one. So I added those few nodes here. So I plug in the reference image, and let's see what the automated prompt is going to be like. Okay, the image shows a young woman standing in the market stall. She's wearing a black tank top and the headphones on. Yeah, you can read the rest. Let's just copy this and put this as the prompt. Let's run it again and see what's happening. Okay, are you ready? Let's see the result. Okay, this is much better. I actually really like the people walking behind her. A few years ago, I didn't have like patience to do every single random person, so I just freeze frame it like I showed you, and I removed all the people. So I like to see that. Okay, let's zoom a little bit closer on the toy that she's holding. It's a little bit messed up. The hand is, but you know what? Okay, as a compositor, as someone who know how to work with Nuke, when I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, actually it's not a big problem. I can just like roto paint it back. You know, I can just use the original plate and add back the little detail. This flashlight, like I told you, it's a very important object in the film, and this moment in the film is where she kind of finds it in the market and she decides she wants to buy it. We need to see it, so okay, I can start working with it. This is what I'm thinking. But I want to try something a little bit deeper, because back then, a few years ago, I did spend a lot of time to do the rotoscope very precisely around her arm and toy and hand and everything. So I want to use this old mask in this pipeline and see if it gives me even a better result. Okay, so let's zoom on the mask part. And as I showed you before, I added this switch here. And when it was on false, this is when we use the automated mask. And now I switch it to on, to true, sorry. It uses this one. And here I'm just loading the old mask that I did manually, the old rotoscope. And as you can see, it's very defined. It has all the details of the flashlight, of the hand. Okay, so let's just run it and see if we get a better result. Okay, let's have a look. All right, what do we have here? Oh, that's weird. Okay, so this halo that we see around the character is actually something that I encountered before I start recording the video when I did some prototyping. What I think is happening, and we are going to test it now, is that maybe because the manual mask that I did has some values between 0 and 1, right? It has some blurriness and stuff. Maybe this is what making it break a little bit now. Maybe I think the Florence 2 model gives like only 0 and 1 values. So I want to take this old manual mask that I did and make it binary and then try to run it again. Okay, so here in Nuke, I just read the original mask. I shuffle it to the alpha channel. And here I have this binary alpha. As you can see, it's made by Tony Lyons. It's a very useful node, actually. What it does, it just remove all the values between 0 and 1 and make them 1. So it's actually growing the mask. A second approach that I did is just to do it with a grade. So this is like shrinking the mask and make it binary. Here, if you see, I just put a very low value on the gamma, 0.00001. So that's kind of like shrinking the mask down. So we only get the 1 values, and everything between 0 and 1 is becoming 0. Okay, back in ComfyUI, I just uploaded the shrinked mask. Let's run it and see the result. Okay, let's have a look. And okay, so we got rid of the halo. So maybe the halo was really because of the values between 0 and 1, but we still have some ghosting, like shape of the shoulder and the arm of the man. So I'm thinking maybe because I used the shrink mask, maybe there are still some pixels there from the man, the original man before, and then it's try to make something out of that. Okay, so let's try the expanding binary alpha mask and see how that goes. Okay, here's the expanded mask. Run again. All right, I'm getting a little bit tired. Let's see the result. What the what? Well, how did that happen? Like, okay, guys and girls and everybody in between. Let's just go with the Florence 2. This automated mask, I don't know why it worked the best. Let's just run with that one, okay? Oh man. Yeah, so just over here on that switch, I'm changing it back to false. False means it goes through the process of making this automated mask with the Florence 2 model. Let's run it again. Okay, so that's the result. We've seen that already. I need a break. See you tomorrow.
The next day.
Good morning. Okay, so I was thinking a little bit about it. I think that like because of the man is only part of the frame and there's a lot of like pixels that we don't need, I wanted like to crop it a little bit and try to do like a more efficient way, because we are stuck in this like SD resolution and I don't want to process the entire plate because actually I'm losing resolution because I'm downsizing it and then I'm upscaling it later. So I thought maybe just I could like crop the plate the little as I can, so I will save some resolution. Yeah, maybe it's a little bit difficult to explain, so let me just show you what I did. Okay, so back here in Nuke, I just imported the Alexa footage and then I reformatted it and transformed it. So this is like the resolution that we have, the 480 by 832, but I flip it around, so now it's vertical, but it's the same aspect ratio and the same resolution. If I remove the transform here before, you can see that I had to do some scaling down a little bit, so I cannot use 100% resolution to do this cleanup. But I'm curious to see how it will turn out with this one, you see, because we really don't need anything around it. I did make sure to have this part because I want the motion of the people behind him to see if I can recreate that. Just the arm is important, of course, and yeah, a little bit headroom. So over here I just like exported, and here I already did the reverse, so I will have it later when I do the compositing. Also, I imported the cleanup that I did manually back then before we had AI, and as you can see, it's just a frame hold here without people. And I also did the same operation here. As you can see, it's a link between those transforms, so I know it's exactly the same and the same format. So that's going to be my clean plate, right? The clean plate frame reference that we're going to give to ComfyUI. So here is the original and here is the clean plate, and I exported both of them. Okay, let's jump to Comfy and see how we go from there. Okay, so over here at ComfyUI, let's jump here to the top. And because now it's a vertical resolution, we need to switch the height and the width. So like that. And I will keep it as an X like here. So I will know later that it's a vertical. Okay, so here we have the new footage, cropped to the correct size. Now here, let's upload the new clean plate, right? That's the clean plate we cropped in Nuke. And here, let's run the automated prompt again, just to see what changed. Okay, that's the new prompt. Okay, so I re-prompted, I fixed the prompt a little bit, make it a little bit more accurate, and also I fixed all my spelling mistakes because I'm severely dyslexic. And let's go to see the next step would be, okay, this one, to make a mask around the man. Okay, maybe if some of you know how to update the node, I just manually uploaded the first frame of the shot. I don't know, because here it's taking the video source from above. So if we go upstairs, you see, it's taking this video and it's supposed to extract the first frame, but I'm not exactly sure how to give it an update or how to make it work. Maybe you could help me. Anyway, let's quickly do the mask now. Okay, I must say that this process is a little bit tedious. Maybe there is a better way to do it. Please, if you know if there is a better way to do it, please let me know down there. And let's run this and see if the mask works. Yeah, I don't know, there is some kind of like an explosion at the first frame. Maybe let's put more red dots and try again. No, I didn't solve it, but maybe let me clear the image. Because I'm thinking I'm uploading the first frame again. Maybe that messes up something in the first frame with the explosion. If I clear this, maybe it will run the process here, you know, and it will take the first frame from the video itself. I don't know, let's try. No, it didn't make any difference, so it wasn't that. Let me try a new canvas and I will make fewer points. Okay, let's try again. Okay, I'm much more happy with this result. There is no explosion and also the woman is not being masked. So, yeah, less is more, I guess, in this case. Okay, let's go down. We keep the control net the same. We keep this the same, the cascade. We don't touch the sampling. Okay, we are ready to run it. So let's run everything now. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, so it replaced it with another character. It's a woman with a headphone holding something red in her hand. Okay, so it's a problem with the prompt. It's a problem with this one. If we go up, here is the prompt. And this prompt describing this frame, the clean plate frame reference that we have. So it's describing this woman, the actress, but the actress is on the side of the frame. It's not the main focus of the frame. And the mask itself, if we go down, you can see the mask is covering like a huge portion of the frame. So what's happening is that the one vase model is trying to recreate the prompt in the area of the mask. So I'm thinking to change the prompt again and to remove the description about the woman.
One eternity later.
So I ran it a few times and I had many issues. And I end up with this prompt. You can pause and read. A biggest issue that I found is that it's keep like generating a person in the middle. I will show you the result soon. Yeah, so even though I write in the negative prompt here, like a person in the middle of the frame, it didn't really help as a negative prompt because it still has this like shape of the mask here. And I kind of discovered it's to do with the control net, because in the depth map information you could see the outline of the man, you know, so you just like recreate a person there. So I decided to replace both of them into KOTTI. The workflow that I will share with you will not have that. It will have the pose and the depth. You can change it to whatever you want. I found for this particular case, KOTTI works because in KOTTI you don't see the man here. I ran it a few times with different seeds, and I came up to this one. which I think it's the best seat I got so far. It's not perfect because the people here are like ghosting out, you know, you see ghosting in and out. It's a bit weird. So what I'm planning to do now is to take this output from ComfyUI and to run it again through the entire process. This is going to be my input now, and I'm going to use pose and depth because I like the way the people walk behind her, but they don't render very well. So I want to see if I can get the motion information from the new output and to generate a new output based on that. So it's like a copy of a copy. I hope I will not lose too much information, but let's see. Okay, so very quickly, as you can see here, I loaded the output from before. Everything stays the same here, but I changed the mask here because the man is not there anymore, so we don't mask the man. And I changed the prompt here to autofocus background, metro station, entrance in Berlin, people walking. And then I got this mask, which is okay. It's like roughly the area I want to change. And I change it back to the pose information and depth. The depth looks good. The pose, I'm not sure. The result is like that. Let's have a look. Okay, so we have some people walking behind the station and some people walking in front of the station. Something weird is happening with the sign here. So it's not perfect. What I'm going to do now is to change the pose information that I didn't like back into the canny. So let's run it again. And here we have the canny again together with the depth. Let's run it. And this is the result that I got. I'm not happy with it. Just remove the people. We still have the weird thing going on with the sign. Let's look at the first pass we did again. I want to look at it again. Okay, this one. I would say this is actually better than the second pass. We still have the weird thing happening with the post here, with the sign. So what I want to do now is to take the first pass and just use it as my clean plate. Going back to Nuke, using the manual mask I did a few years ago, match the two together and see how it looks. Okay, so here we are in the Nuke script, and I'm reading the output from ComfyUI. I do the reverse to match it with the plate, and then I merge it over the original plate with the mask. So this is the manual mask that I did a few years ago, and I use it as a mask here so we can have the flashlight back, because if we look here, the hand is really messed up, and here the hand, we get back the hand, but then we have all the mess that the AI generated. So that will need some more cleanup and some more rotoscoping here. And also the arm, you see, like the AI did like extended the arm. So if I were now to fix this, then I need to generate new pixel here, because this is where the man here is located. So I cannot really use those pixels. I need to do something here. So it's not the best result. I would say it's something that, okay, an experienced compositor or a cleanup artist, whatever you want to call it, can deal with it. It's not the end of the world. As you can see, I also miss 3 frames at the end, so the AI didn't generate all 36 frames, it generated only 33. Annoying, right? But if you've seen my series about how I recreated like the sci-fi scene with a similar shot from the same movie, I transformed Berlin into like a cyberpunk scene. I come to the same conclusion there, that we need to give it like a few frames, heads and tail. I didn't do it now because I was lazy and nobody's paying for me, and I thought, that's going to be a problem later. So actually, I was right. I should have maybe tell you before that it's a risk not to have those like heads and tails, but it's prototyping. And the point of the video is actually just to test the water, to see if those tools, ComfyUI, are really beneficial to us VFX artists. Let's play the sequence and come to our conclusion together, okay? Okay, so when we look at the shot, it's fine, right? I mean, ignore the errors that we discussed that you can clean up now. It's look fine, but is it worth it? Is it worth it now to do all the cleanups and everything? So let's have a serious conversation for a second. What's difficult about this shot? I think like the difficult part working on this shot is to do the mask around her and to track the motion blur when she moves the head and show like the toys that she buys. To do the clean plate behind her is not complicated. You can frame hold a few frames, remove the people like I did a few years ago. So what the AI gives us is like the opportunity to do this little animation of the people walking behind her, the more bustling, busy atmosphere. The shot itself is very short. It's only 36 frames. And this is also like the picture lock shot from the movie. So I didn't generate like a very simple example for us. It's a real shot from a real movie. So I'm actually thinking that we do need to do this like meticulous rotoscope mask manually, regardless of AI, because we need to bring her back later. And because of that, the hard part of the working on this shot is not eliminated by the AI. We still need to work the same amount of time, more or less, with AI or without AI. I would also go a little bit step further and say that with AI, with the workflow that I showed you, the prototyping, trying a few things, running it a few times, it breaks, we need to change this, we need to try something there. It's actually more work. And also my computer is doing everything locally, and the amount of electricity it uses, I would estimate it's around like cooking 2 dinners, something like that. I really like cooking and I keep track on my electricity and everything. And I know that this computer, when it renders those like ComfyUI scripts, it's using around like 1,000 watts, including the monitors and everything. 1,000 watt is like cooking dinner. And each time you do an iteration, it's another like few minutes. It's adding up. And the cost of it, in my opinion, doesn't worth. In this specific example, if I had a longer shot where the atmosphere behind the actress is much more important and I couldn't recreate it with stealing the footage from another take or another shot in the movie, if the information is lost, I need to generate the information, it's very important, then yes, for sure. It's not important for that scene. So I would say something like this. If a client comes to me with a project like that, and they say, I need to do a cleanup, I need to remove the guy, please do it with AI. So my initial reaction now would be, okay, why do you ask me to do it with AI? What this term, do it with AI, means when it comes to like client negotiation. And I think it's just a way for them to bargain for a cheaper price. Because AI is being sold as a magical, you press one button, you get a solution, right? It's magic. It's not magic. It's a tool that we can generate some pixels with. In this case, I would charge extra. If the client insists me to work with AI on my local PC, running it so expensively with the electricity and everything, and do all those iterations, it takes me more time, I would charge more. If I will get freedom to do it the way I want to do it, I would not choose to do it with AI. That's my verdict. I would do like a classical compositing, clean plate, tracking. It would be faster, it would be less resource intensive, and the result will not differ that much. Okay, so I know this channel is called AI for Filmmakers, but I want to make it clear that I'm not a big advocate for AI. I want in this channel, together with you, to see what we can do with it for the cinema Again, not for small screen, AI slop, TikTok videos. I don't care about that. I work in film and television. I want to know if those tools are good for me, if they are useful for me. If they are, they are. If they're not, they're not. I'll be honest with you about it. The result that I see here is actually good. You know, I think if the director sees that, the director of the film would see that, and they would say, yeah, I really want that. This like bustling in the background, it's really important for the director, for the vibe of the film. For sure, yes, I would use it 100%. Because I'm the director of this film, and I know the context, and I know like what this scene is about. I can tell you that for me it wasn't worth it. But I'm very happy that I have this tool now, and I will share the workflow together with you, and now you will have it too. And please write me in the comment, what do you think about it? Is it worth it for you or not? So thank you for sticking with me. I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.